All right, let's just jump right in. You know those businesses in your town, the ones that are, well, they're just part of the place. Everyone knows them, everyone trusts them, and if you need something, their name is the first one that pops into your head. So how on earth do they do that? That's what we're going to break down today, the playbook for becoming one of those local legends. I mean, that's the big question, right? You could be absolutely incredible at what you do. I mean, best in class, with glowing reviews and happy customers, but for some reason, you're still kind of the town's best-kept secret. That feeling, that frustration of being invisible while you see others just crushing it, it's super common. So today, we're going to unpack the exact strategy that makes all the difference. And here it is. This is the big idea that flips the whole thing on its head. We're all taught that quality is everything, right? Be the best and they will come. But what if that's not the whole story? In local markets, especially the more affluent ones, there's a currency that's actually more valuable. And that currency is trust. Getting this one concept is, well, it's the key to everything we're about to talk about. Okay, so let's put a name to this thing. We're calling it the invisibility problem. And it's really just that gap. You know, this space between being amazing at what you do and being the first name that pops into someone's head when they need it. And this is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. The uncomfortable truth is your skill, your quality, it's just not enough on its own. Especially in these kinds of neighborhoods, people aren't just buying a service. They're buying into a relationship, a sense of community. They pick businesses that feel like they belong there. So familiarity, it's not just a bonus. It's literally the foundation of trust. It's what gets you the job before you even pick up the phone. All right, so if being the best isn't the answer, the next logical step is just market harder, right? Run more ads, shout a little louder. Well, turns out that's not quite it either. Let's dig into why those old school marketing tactics, why they usually fail when it comes to building real local trust. This breaks it down so perfectly. Think about it. Most advertising is just renting. You're paying money every single month to interrupt somebody. You pop up in their feed, you break into their show, and then poof, you're gone. The second you stop paying that rent, you're totally invisible again. But owning attention, that's different. That's like building a house in their mind. It's a permanent piece of real estate that only grows in value over time. And that leads us right into mistake number 2. If all you're trying to do is get seen, you just end up looking and sounding like everybody else. You're just another ad in the feed. And when customers can't tell you apart from your competitors, what do? They look at the one thing they can compare, the price. Suddenly, you're not a skilled professional anymore, you're just a commodity. And trust me, that is a race to the bottom nobody wants to be in. So you see, we're not talking about just tweaking your ads here. This is a complete identity shift. It's about going from being an advertiser, someone who interrupts, to being an authority, someone who actually belongs. That one little shift, it changes absolutely everything. And the way you make that shift is with this idea called community sponsorship branding. It sounds fancy, but the concept is simple. You take the same kind of strategy that these giant global brands use, and you shrink it down to work on a neighborhood level. It's all about weaving yourself into the very fabric of the community. You stop being just another vendor, and you start becoming a valued partner, a neighbor. The best way to get this is to think about Red Bull. Seriously. Do you ever see a Red Bull ad that's just like, hey, buy our drink, it tastes great? No way. What do? They sponsor insane sporting events. They build this whole culture around their brand. They are the community for extreme sports. And because of that, they dominate. Well, this is the exact same idea. You're just doing it for your neighborhood. And this quote just nails it. The goal isn't to sell more. It's to be seen more in the right way. It's about presence. It's about trust. Once you have that, believe me, the sales they just happen. Okay, cool. So we get the what and the why. But now for the good stuff, the how. Because this isn't just some vague idea, right? It's an actual system, a 3-part engine that's built specifically to create that kind of market dominance. So this engine has 3 parts, and they all have to work together. Step 1, you lay the foundation with trust. We'll call that the trust builder. Step 2, you take that trust and you blast it out everywhere online. That's the amplifier. And finally, step 3 is the closer. That's where you make sure that when people go to check you out, your reputation is rock solid. So let's start with step 1, the trust builder. Here's the key insight. People in these neighborhoods, they're really good at tuning out generic ads. But you know what they do read? every single word of stuff about their own community. Stories about their neighbors, pictures of their kids' soccer games, all of it. So when you show up in their private community magazine, you're not an annoying ad. You're part of something they actually welcome into their home. And look at the numbers here. They're just staggering. An almost 90% readership rate, that's insane. Now, put that next to, say, a Facebook ad, where you're lucky to get a click rate under 1%. Think about that. You're going from being ignored by 99% of people to being seen by almost everybody. It's a totally different ballgame. All right, on to step 2, the amplifier. Now that you've got that trust built from being in their home, you start showing up in their digital world too. You use geo-targeted ads to hit the exact same houses. The effect? It's powerful. Suddenly, they see you in the magazine on their coffee table. Then they see you when they're scrolling on their phone. Then you pop up on their laptop. You're just everywhere. You become completely unavoidable in the best possible way. And that brings us to the final piece, step 3, the closer. Because after seeing you everywhere, what's the very next thing a customer does? They Google you. Of course they do. This is the moment of truth. And get this, nearly 90% of these buyers trust online reviews just as much as a recommendation from a friend. So when they search your name, you need to make sure they find a wall of glowing 5-star reviews. That's what turns all that familiarity into an actual customer. This whole approach, it really makes you rethink what success even means in marketing. If you're busy building real authority, counting things like clicks and leads, well, it's kind of missing the point. It just doesn't capture the real value. Yeah, this is a big mindset shift. The old school metrics, they're all about measuring activity. A click, a lead. It's a thing that happens in a second and then it's gone. But these new metrics, they measure equity. They measure the actual value you're building in your brand. Like, are people recommending you without you even asking? Are customers happy to pay your premium prices without blinking? That's the real sign that you've built something powerful.
I love this quote because it just sums it all up, doesn't it? If you're visible but nobody trusts you, you're just making noise. But when you have that credibility, and then you add visibility on top, that's authority. And that's the point where you stop just competing for business, and you start actually owning the market.
So I'll just leave you with this one last question to chew on. We're all so obsessed with ROI, right? Return on investment. But maybe the more important question is about your return on identity. What's the real long-term value of becoming the one and only name that your entire community knows and trusts? Think about that.